Access Fort Wayne offers reflections of our community. Production facilities provided by Access Fort Wayne are a service of the Allen County Public Library. The views and opinions expressed do not necessarily represent those of Access Fort Wayne, the Allen County Public Library, or any other supporting organizations. For more information about creating your own television program with Access Fort Wayne, call 421-1250.
Hi, I'm Dr. Rudy Cashman, and I have with us today Dr. Gary Veerula, pediatrician in Fort Wayne, Indiana. We are part of this organization of healthy eating, the Non-Diet Society in Fort Wayne. We meet about once a month. We're trying to promote good health through the community by picking the right food. And we have some friends sitting between us here, some of the things that we try to encourage people to eat. And we recommend really about three or four different ways of eating, from eating many vegetables, vegan diet, flexitarian diet, and a nutritarian diet. And let's kind of discuss these kind of one by one. What is a vegetarian? What does it mean, Gary?
Vegetarian means they are avoiding meats, and they include eggs and milk in their diet, but they're just avoiding meats, that's all. All the lentils, beans, green vegetables, fruits, and beans and vegetables like that.
Mainly animal meat products is what they avoid.
Yes.
And what's the reason people should avoid animal products in general?
There are a couple of reasons. One is culturally, the whole culture is brought up that way, probably from religious beliefs of non-injury to animals, so they don't want to consume animals as food. And the other people are generally, they're tired of eating meat, or they just don't want to eat meat, not due to religious beliefs, but due to health and personal beliefs.
Because of the fat that's in animal meat. I mean, vegetable protein doesn't have any fat.
Right.
Animal protein carries fat. It carries IGF, the growth factors that cause angiogenesis, tumor growth. You know, they need blood vessels.
Yes.
And inflammatory factors versus protein from plants, which doesn't carry these cancer factors, doesn't carry fat factors. See, some people don't even realize that we don't need to eat animal meats to get protein. I mean, I had a doctor's wife say, I need my protein, I need my animal products. That's not really true. You could be a vegetarian, and let's give some examples of vegetarians. A horse, hippopotamus, all these animals, they're vegetarians. They're gorilla, they're vegetarians. So you don't need to eat animal protein, which is accompanied by cancer growth factors, inflammatory factors, and a lot of fat. So it's an excellent way of avoiding obesity and cancer and diabetes. Now, another way of eating would be the vegan way of eating, where you don't eat animal products and dairy products.
Right. They certainly avoid all the dairy and the eggs, and some of them, including some people, avoid even the honey, because that's also from the bees kind of thing. So, but vegan way of life is also, it's actually healthy as well. But the ones which we are, you're promoting, this non-diet, has less salt or no salt, oil, and sugar, what we are promoting mostly.
Exactly. I mean, fat, salt, and sugar and oils, we're trying to promote not to use them. If you have advanced vascular disease, you have diabetes, you've had angioplasties, you've got heart disease, frankly, you should be a vegan. You can't be milk products and animal products. If you want to be healthy, it's just something you have to make your mind, you know, to do. Then we have a third way of eating, which we promote. We want you to have choices. We're just trying to give you information, and you choose what you decide to do. But you got to remember one thing: there are going to be consequences for your choices. You just remember that. You know, you say, well, I got to eat meat. Well, there's going to be a consequence.
Yes.
And if you get advanced vascular disease diabetes, I'd say I'd be a vegan. The third way is a flexitarian way,
Yes.
which is really meat, because I may eat some fish a couple of days a week. I don't generally eat any beef at all, but I might have some salmon or some shrimp here and there. So I'm a little bit flexible, and since I have a normal weight of 145 pounds, and you now have a normal weight, I've noticed, Gary, you're down to what are you down?
I'm down to 153 now.
153 now.
Yes.
That isn't what he used to be, and I used to be higher also. But we're eating the flexitarian way. Although I think you're 100%.
Yes, I'm 100% plant-based nutrition, and I would call it a plantarian.
Yeah.
Because everything consumed is basically from the plants in an unprocessed way.
Yeah. This is beautiful words. I'll repeat this. He calls himself a plantarian, totally a plant eater. Eats plant products, also obviously very healthy, and his weight, I think, is sort of stabling out, maybe at 150 or so.
It's stabilized at 152.
Yeah, and Gary has no active illness at all.
Absolutely none.
And what's so beautiful about him as a pediatrician teaching this, because I've been so proud of Gary, because he treats a lot of Medicaid patients, and he shows to do this, they generally have much higher obesity because food is that's available to them through food stamps and stuff and supermarkets is food full of fat, salt, and sugar. So he sees a lot of obesity. I visited your office recently, Gary, and you have a lot of overweight people in there, and he does something about it. His prescriptions might say, attend Rudy and Gary's healthy eating non-diet class. Gary, that's beautiful. I'm really proud of you. How most of us go to a doctor and they hand us some medication, but you cure people of the illnesses. You don't hand them a pill, some metformin for your diabetes. You ask them to get to a normal weight in their type 2 diabetes, even as children. You see children with it.
We do.
It's gone.
Yes,
I mean, that's really a beautiful thing. You know, we have a food pyramid we try to follow, and you know, for the general public, and I've still at the top of it still have a little bit of meat up there because a lot of people couldn't, frankly, go without it, although they have to. But at the bottom, we have cruciferous vegetables, what's the majority of your meal, and these beautiful fruits and vegetables that we have between us here is a good example of that.
Very beautiful example. Delicious and very nutritious.
Yeah. And we're going to teach people today, as part of this tape, how to do some juicing and smoothies, and you're the greatest juicer I've ever met. Tell us about juicing a little bit. Tell us a little bit about, give us a lesson in juicing.
Yes, I've been juicing fruits and vegetables for about 20 years or more, and my kids, they grew up with the juice every day. Carrot juice, especially if there is nothing else, just a carrot and apple juice every day.
Yeah.
It makes a very delicious meal. It makes a nearly complete meal for breakfast and snacks as well. And to add some protein to that, you can add some green peas and cooked lentils, something like that. Makes it a proteinaceous complete meal if you do that. But most of the times it's a very delicious snack, very tasty, and you're getting all the raw ingredients of the vegetables and the fruits as well.
You're getting the vitamins,
the minerals, the
and
phytochemicals.
It's 25,000 plant phytochemicals. People don't know about them very much, including physicians. And it's a symphony of the vitamins, the minerals, and the phytochemicals where the health is located. It's a symphony, and this is what juicing does. It concentrates these phytochemicals. And when I've seen you doing it, I mean, you are feeding the apparatus. Jack LaLanne juicer is the one that we use. There are many others out there, and many carrots and asparagus. What else do you use? Tomatoes. What else do you use?
I use beets. I use melon. I use a lot of apples. Different, golden.
Different flavors you put in there.
Different flavors and all colors vegetables as well, including the cruciferous family
Yeah.
as well, which is
Yeah.
the cabbage and cauliflower, broccoli, also we can juice.
Yeah.
Because in juicing, you can consume more vegetable products in a concentrated,
Yeah.
phytochemical, nutrient-rich juices, along with the proteins and enzymes which are not altered. They're still live when you're eating them. So you don't really need to burn a lot of calories digesting it, and they're very nutritious and healthy and assimilates very fast, and you save a lot of energy doing it by consuming smaller amount of those foods than cooked foods. So there's a lot of benefits in that.
You'd have to eat an awful lot of food to get that many
Right.
minerals, vitamins, and phytochemicals.
If it
You
is
can
cooked
make
and pasteurized,
you
yes.
can make a meal out of it, right?
Absolutely, you can.
You juice almost every day, I
I
think you
juice
told me.
every day, and quite often I live on the juice. Almost 75% of my calories or daily intake just come from juices, because I make them with me and carry with me, or in the
To work,
fridge,
you'll carry a
to
container
work,
with
in the fridge, and they
Yeah.
stay and
Yeah.
provide beautiful nutrition. And
Yeah.
I feel there is absolutely no deficiency of energy. Really,
yeah.
actually.
You're not wasting
Not
you're not wasting
anything,
any calories.
nothing at all.
And the
Just
beautiful
raw.
thing is, which a lot of people don't understand, this is actually quite cheap.
It's not expensive.
People
at
think
all.
good
Not
food
expensive
is
at all.
expensive. Baloney. Gary and I say baloney to that. I've shopped with him at huge supermarkets, and you can buy a thing of carrots. I mean, for God knows anything. Oatmeal, pound of oatmeal, what, $1? And actually, it's much cheaper. People are wrong in saying that good food is more expensive. Now, at the end comes out the pulp when you juice it.
Yes.
Now, can people generally don't eat the pulp, do they? Or
No, it's not very tasty
Yeah.
to begin with, but
Yeah.
what I do is with the pulp, you can always use, like
Yeah.
if it's the carrots or fresh fruits
Yeah.
specifically,
Yeah.
you can use the pulp in your cakes, carrot cake,
Yes.
and other cakes. If you're baking, you can use some of that.
Yeah.
And also, my dog happens to like that.
Yeah,
So I
he's
put
the
it in
healthiest
his
dog in the
food
city.
too, and he
Yeah, I
enjoys
know
that.
he loves to eat
Because
it.
it's so rich in fiber, nutrition, and flavor as well.
Yeah, our IT friend Gary, remember his dog became diabetic,
Yes.
and now he's eating the pulp, and his blood sugar went.
Down.
And
Wonderful.
that's
Sure,
a beautiful
sure it
story.
does.
Let's go on to making smoothies a little bit.
Yes.
You use different fruits and vegetables for that. What's the difference? In the end, I know you don't have
Right.
pulp.
Right.
But tell us about smoothies a little bit.
Smoothies are just extracts of the vegetables, but you're not losing the fiber in it.
Yeah.
Plus, it is more dense and thick, and you just need a very small amount of less than a third of the vegetables you use for juicing. So
Yeah.
it actually costs less, and you keep all the ingredients. For example, the whole carrot, whole cucumber, you can just throw it into the blender along with some grapes or banana, not banana necessarily, but some apple and strawberries and blueberries in it.
Yeah.
And you get the whole nutrition without wasting a penny's worth of the material, and you consume the whole thing as it is, and you don't need to spend a lot of money doing smoothies, and you don't need to consume a lot as well, because it is complete nutrition.
See, I've worked with you in smoothies a long time, but the first time I really heard all those words. I mean, that's worth really repeating. It's cheaper.
It's cheaper, definitely.
And you get all the vitamins, all the minerals, all the phytochemicals, and you also get the fiber, and fiber is your friend. And it keeps you from absorbing any other things you might eat, like on top of that, cholesterol might want to go into the bloodstream, but the fiber prevents it.
The fiber, the important thing about fiber is a large molecule really,
Yeah.
and it has multiple branches within the fiber, and most of it is inabsorbable, and it is inert. It doesn't have any calories in it.
Yeah.
But what it does is it adheres and it catches all the toxins within its branches, and then keeps them together, and then it acts like an internal broom actually.
Yeah.
So your gut, it empties, cleans up your gut, because it doesn't stay long in your intestines. So for it to putrefy and lead to colon cancer and toxins
It
and
prevents
other things.
colon cancer because it cleans your gut out.
Right. So when you're taking these smoothies, you're getting a lot of fiber, and people who do smoothies and of course juices as well notice an instant difference in their health, their well-being, their energy, and even good feelings within about a couple of days or 3 days or so.
Yeah. How often do you have a smoothie?
Oh, I do it every day, Julie. I mean, it's part of my routine diet. Is an everyday thing. It just takes about 15 to 20 minutes.
Yeah.
But I have ready fully charged
Yeah.
nutrition in liquid form,
Yeah.
and I can combine with fruits and other vegetables as I go in the day, and I get a quick nutrition even while playing golf or working in the
Yeah.
yard. I have a quick nutrition. I don't have to feel tired or weak at all. And
You
I
carry
can
it
refill
even with you
myself.
in a container.
I do. I have some coolers or
A
cold
wonderful
stuff
thing
in
to
it.
get a small cooler with a few.
I can carry it on a shoulder bag and
Carried with you. You're going to go
in the
play
car.
golf.
Yes,
I
I
remember you told me a story. You play a lot of golf with my friend Phil Terrell, and on the golf course, you guys will have a smoothie
Yes.
on the ninth hole and something, and then your energy picks up.
Oh,
It's a very healthy food.
it's-
You're not having a cookie here, you know.
Right.
You're having a smoothie.
it's so much better. I find
Yeah.
it so much better than drinking sodas or Gatorade
Yeah.
for the matter, Powerade.
Yeah.
And they eventually sap your energy because half of those things have so much contaminants. For example, the aspartame it has, sucralose, which are dangerous products for
Yeah.
our health. And
Fructose
also
corn syrup,
fructose corn
which is
syrup.
very sugary,
Right.
and your blood sugar shoots sky high, and then it goes down, and you lose your energy. And your golf game goes down versus
Definitely.
having the smoothie
And
with
also
a
a lot
very,
of,
very even.
very
blood.
even. I mean, you never
blood.
feel like high or low when you drink the whole cup and you're not really like loaded up with the calories or feeling dizzy with the increased sugar in
Yeah.
your body. No, none of those
Yeah.
things happen. It's a smooth. It releases so smoothly.
Yeah.
I find it very convenient and comfortable actually.
Yeah, and a Vitamix machine is really the best one to use for.
I would recommend that for it. It's a little expensive, but it's the best machine. It's
Yeah.
going to last forever.
And the one thing we convinced our friend Mark Deister to get this machine, and his wife described, and he was describing, which I didn't realize really either. I mean, it really grinds things up, and so you don't get the seeds and things you can throw in there, get caught, and you get it all. So it's very good for people with diverticulosis, anything like that. It really grinds the product, and that was a very interesting point, I thought. And it makes it, because some people have a problem with that.
Definitely. I mean, in our country, colon cancer, the GI systems, irritable bowel disease, and ulcerative colitis and Crohn's is so common. It's so common in the developed countries and more so in America. And nobody tells the patients the cause for it. They just tell you you have it, so you just take these medications.
Yeah.
The root cause is having less fiber and more processed food and the putrefied digested material sitting in the gut for, I would say, forever. I mean, it's like 24 hours is forever, actually.
Yeah. Well, we're on the subject. What is food processing? People, because we eat it. That's part of America's problem. Fast food restaurants, and they have processed food.
Right.
What's processing food?
You know, processing food has started, I think, probably 100 years ago or something. What they were doing is they were taking the whole grains and
that still had on it
which is
the bran, the covering, and the germ
and the multiple vitamins and minerals associated just under the bran, and also the natural oils which all these grains have.
Yeah.
They are running it through a machine, taking it out, and polishing all these things, make it look spick and span, crystal clean and nice.
Like white rice.
White rice.
Which would be called the endosperm.
Right.
Yeah.
And then they also, same thing they do with powder them into flours and wheat flour and all that stuff. It's dangerous to consume these processed foods because they're not having a complete nutrition value in them. They don't have the natural oil.
They've lost the vitamins, the minerals, the phytochemicals. They're pure sugar now.
And the fiber. Now, the glycemic index, like you talk about usually, how fast the glucose is released from the food product we consume. For those processed foods, the glycemic index is very high. And the glucose is released so fast, and that leads to all kinds of problems, including your diabetes, obesity, heart disease, and all those problems.
Yeah, and we recommend the foods that you pick. For example, that would be whole grain or complex carbs. The glycemic index was determined by you eat the product, and then you check the blood sugar for the next 60 to 120 minutes. You see how fast the blood sugar rises. Like a bean, glycemic index 30, fruit 35, white bread 100.
You're right.
So we try to recommend under 50.
Yes.
And we talk about limits on animal products, which cause obesity and cancer. Wheat and oats have only been around about 10,000 years. So there hasn't been enough change in our evolutionary body to adjust to that. So we still have a lot of diseases from eating too many grains. So, you know, we have wheat and bread, and you say eat 100% whole grain, and we kind of recommend that, but you can't eat 10 pieces of bread.
Yes, you cannot.
You're going to gain weight.
I recommend about 1 or 2 slices of bread a day for
1 or 2 pieces of bread. That's it, because you eat 10 pieces of bread, and especially wheat causes the wheat is pretty high on the glycemic index, like 69 or 70. So it's not exactly a health food, but a couple of pieces of bread, 100% whole grain, you know, will go along with that. And if you're eating a nutrient-dense diet, that's not going to bother you.
that's right.
And you're eating really a 100% plant diet now, huh?
Yes, I am. Yes,
Yeah.
I am. Yeah.
And if you ate some fatty food, or say a steak, would you get diarrhea?
I would get a little bit bloating.
Yeah.
I mean, if eating some food, I'm not sure how they prepare
Yeah.
it, and if it happens to have especially
Yeah.
dairy in it,
Yeah.
and some oil and stuff like that, I would definitely know my stomach.
I mean, I would get diarrhea. I can see the fat actually in a hamburger.
Yes.
And the other night, someone I went to dinner last night with steaks like that. I could see it dripping from there. They didn't know, I think, the way I like to eat. But you mentioned the word dairy. Let's talk about dairy for a minute. Is it good to feed a child cow's milk, whole milk at age 10? And you're a pediatrician. How do you feel about that?
Oh, it's the dairy. I mean, actually, it's not even necessary for a normal human being, leave alone a child, to survive and thrive well, actually. Because if we have to consume dairy or whatever it is, we can only consume human milk up to probably 2 years of age, and not necessary, because no other animal in the planet really drinks milk after 1 or 2 years of age.
Yeah, they don't drink milk of another mammal, for example. We're the only ones doing that.
They don't.
Mother's milk is fantastic up to age 2.
Yes.
The healthy fats, the healthy proteins that avoid diseases.
Yes.
And you're much more likely a child to be obese if you breastfeed them until age 2.
Yeah.
And many mothers have the time or the inclination to do that, but that's the healthiest thing that you possibly could do. And milk products after age 2 are not indicated. Number one is I was reading that the type 1 diabetic rate increases because of reactions to the proteins from milk from cows. That type 2 diabetes increases. Dr. Furman's book,
Absolutely, very true.
Disease Proof for Your Child, he talks about that a great deal. You decrease the asthma rate, the children's cancer rate, the type 2 diabetic rate, the type 1 diabetes rate, are much less if you don't give your child milk. So we really don't go along with your child drinking.
There are a lot of substitutes you can use.
Yeah, tell us about the substitutes.
A lot of substitutes you can use, especially even at home or in school or you're on the go. Basically, substitutes are, you can use soy milk if you're not severely allergic to soy.
Yeah.
And then you can use almond milk. There's also coconut milk and hemp milk. All these milks are available in different flavors. For example, with vanilla, without, and some chocolate flavor.
Yeah.
And also you can look at the calorie contents of some of these drinks are also variable. You have a lot of choices in calorie content per cup of all these milks as well.
Yeah, so label reading.
A lot of choices.
You need to learn to read labels.
Very simple. Most of them, they tell you right up on the top, but always learn to read the labels and see how much of percentage of free sugars are in there or complex carbohydrates in there, how much fat. And also, when you're reading the labels, you need to see if they're adding sugar or oil from canola oil or cane sugar or sugar from molasses, whatever it is.
Yeah.
You have to read those labels to avoid additional things into these drinks as well.
Yeah, we strongly believe in label reading, but we don't strongly believe actually in calorie counting. Do you?
Absolutely not. I never
not.
count calories. I don't count my amount of protein intake and the calcium intake.
Yeah.
And I don't take calcium supplements and vitamin supplements at all. But I can tell you, Rudy, that I am actually getting probably 5 to 10 times more than what I need, what is recommended or what I would get it from a pill from these diets. And I stopped counting my protein calorie, protein
These
intake.
vegetables and fruits we're recommending are full of calcium and vitamins. You don't need to worry about supplements and taking pounds of vitamin supplements or anything. It's so full of good proteins, good vitamins, good minerals, good phytochemicals. you're in essence disease-proofing your children, aren't you, really? And the biggest thing in your office really is you're teaching kids how to eat the right food.
Yes, I am.
That's the biggest benefit you could give them. I understand that you put the kids in front of a computer and you have them look at their BMI. I've heard that. And you have the child say, hey, you know, you're 20 pounds over. What are you going to do about it? What are your plans for your future? I think this, and I've always felt at pediatrician should be a wellness doctor. And you are, Gary. I mean, I really, you know, like what you're doing.
I'm trying. It is tough, Rudy. It's difficult. It's difficult to just stay quiet and then not do anything about, not help the patients and the parents because, well, they don't know. That's why they're counting on me for information. If I have the information, I think I should share with them and help them reshape. For those who are willing to listen and learn, and believe me, more than half the parents, I recommended the important books and the nutrition plans and stuff. More than half the parents are into it, they're doing it, and some of them are extremely thrilled because they're seeing results in their own children, in their own families, in improvement in their health status, avoiding the office visits to my own office. The kids are healthy, so they don't have to bring them to my office.
And they know the message they're going to get, consistency. And you know, we are told as physicians that maybe 70–80% of the people don't wish to participate in their health care. Well, Gary and I are in disagreement with that. And we find when the patients meet a motivated doctor who keeps on repeating the message, the office staff gets it, we feel that we can motivate probably a good at least 50% of the people, and I think it's a little bit higher, because they figure out we love them, we care about them. And, so I think a message here, I think, is pretty much we put it out there today. Now we're going to go into the cooking class and give some demonstrations about, and we want to see you showing us how to do some smoothies and maybe some juicing to educate people how to do it. People think it takes a lot more time to follow this nutrient-dense way, vegetarian way of cooking. I mean, some people would say so, and I talk to some that do, but I tell you, once you get in the habit of doing it, like if you make a soup, incidentally, maybe you could show us how to, the ingredients of a soup and things and different kind of beans. You could show us how to do this. Actually, if you plan ahead, this way of eating doesn't take a lot of extra time, but it takes practice, you know, it takes practice. And with that, Gary, let's go on to the kitchen and take our friends with us.
All right.
Thanks a lot.
Hi, this is Dr. Cashman, continuing with the second half of our show. I hope you enjoyed the first half with Dr. Veerula, the pediatrician, and myself. You know, we run cooking classes for children. And we have the last half hour, you know, at Lake Wawasee, and we invited all the children and the parents who we were teaching. And the second half here, I'd like to speak a little bit about the psychology of eating. Which is extremely important. Actually, I wrote a book on it, and you see the cover here. If you like to read it, it's on Amazon. It teaches you a proper way of eating and the psychological aspects of it. Not a very thick book, but very informational. I think you might enjoy reading. Let's review again what we spoke about before a little bit, just to make sure that we properly learn what myself and Dr. Veerula consider the proper way of eating. We call it the non-diet. We're not recommending a diet, just a different way of eating. And complex carbohydrates would be number one, and complex carb would be baked potato or carrot or celery. It has sugars and long chains in it, and it still has a fiber in it, so they call it complex carbohydrates. Whole grain, 100% whole grain. That would be number two. You want to have the bran on it and still have the germ on it, so it's not processed food. White rice would be a processed food. For example, white bread would be a processed food, and that's like eating sugar, frankly. So we still want you to have the fiber, because fiber is your friend. Fiber is complex sugar and will keep you from absorbing everything what you're eating. So when you're eating complex carb or 100% whole grain, you may absorb 60 to 70% of it. That's it. The rest will go out in your stool. So you can frankly eat a lot more than legumes. Beans, all you can eat. all you can eat. Beans are very healthy. They have polyunsaturated fats, very good fats, complex carbs, and protein. Beans are 30% protein. Beans have as much protein in them as meat, which most people don't understand. You think you got to eat steaks to get protein. You eat beans, you get plenty of protein. Next, fruits. Well, we obviously know what those are. And vegetables, all you can eat. And if you look at my food pyramid here, our food pyramid, cruciferous vegetables at the bottom, then we have fruits, and then we have beans, all types of beans, some nuts. I like to eat an ounce of nuts a day because they're good snacks. They have polyunsaturated fats, some omega-3 are healthy fats, then 100% whole grain. You don't want to overdo it in the grains because we've only had them about 10,000 years, and our body have not changed through evolution enough to tolerate grains that much. We can eat a certain amount of whole grains, but in the end you can't eat 10 pieces of bread, so you got to watch that a little bit. And you notice in the food pyramid I have meat products on top, and the reason being is that meat is full of cholesterol, a good 30-40% fat, including fish. Yes, including fish. And most fish we eat today is from the ocean? No, it's from ponds where it's been corn-fed. So what are you eating when you are eating fish today? Corn product a lot of the time. It's not that they've been eating sardines or algae in the ocean. So you have to be carefully asked, what type of fish am I eating? And then we have beef and chicken on top. Again, no nutrients. These things here are nutrients. These numbers I have there are nutrient density, not portions. The minerals, the vitamins, and the phytochemicals, 25,000 in the interaction, the symphony and rainbow of interaction of these phytochemicals lead to good health. That's the point. What I'm saying is we don't say don't eat any meat, but eat less meat if you wish to be healthy, of normal weight. If you get advanced heart disease, diabetes, you can't be eating a lot of meat. You're not going to live very long. So we like you not to eat animal products very much if you wish to be healthy. So let's go on with the show and get to the psychology of it. Why do we eat? Partly for comfort. I'm stressed out. I tend to grab some food. Everybody does. But you have to watch what you're grabbing. I try to eat some nuts or a banana or an apple. If you start eating donuts, you'll eat all 12 of them and you gain a lot of weight. We eat for stress relief. Why do we eat for stress relief? Because we've had a drop in our dopamine, our serotonin, neurotransmitters. We don't feel good. And when we eat some food, which the increased steroid level in our blood from stress will cause us to eat because we feel the tiger is coming. The darn trouble is there's no tiger. We're sitting on a couch eating potato chips, watching television, watching the ball game, and we're going to gain a lot of weight. So it does make us feel comfortable because food there's a rapid response of serotonin and dopamine secretion, and we feel better. And also it sedates us. We don't worry as much. We fall asleep. Food brings happiness, fun and love. Fun and love. Glass of wine with it, especially so. So America is eating like we're in a food fun house. We eat the fat, salty, sugary foods that cause obesity. It's rampant in this country. And food is a womb, a cave, an escape. It's our cocaine. Food is our dope. Food is more addictive than narcotics. Narcotics cause secretion of dopamine and serotonin. So does exercise. So does music. So does food. But food is more addictive because we have to eat every day. I've debated many people with that, and people think food is more addictive than narcotics. Instinct concept. And because of good feeling, but it doesn't last because our sugar level goes back down. We stop at a fast food restaurant and eat the food, and we feel great, and then the sugar goes up, makes us feel good because of the dopamine serotonin secretion, and then bingo, it drops because of the insulin response, and now we are hungry again, and we start eating more. So many of us have lost control. We're too thin, Oh, we're overweight because we're using food in our own psychology. We dream about food. We dream about food. I know I'm working, I'm doing an operation. As a neurosurgeon wouldn't believe me, I'm dreaming about the food or lunch. It happens, especially when you're stressed, for example. So a lot of stress eating. We eat because of stress, because our limbic system and the frontal lobe sends an impulse to the hypothalamus, that sends an impulse to pituitary gland, that sends an impulse to adrenal gland above our kidneys, that secretes cortisol in the blood, and we think a tiger is running at us, and we start eating because we feel we need the energy. The trouble is there's no tiger. We're sitting around and we're becoming obese and overweight. And food cues are quite important too. At home, get the donuts and the cookies out of the kitchen, because when you see them, you're more likely to eat them. During the day when you have control, you might not do that. But you come home stressed out, you've worked real hard, and you feel like you deserve to anything you want to. Like myself coming home, if there's nasty food laying in the kitchen, it's tough not to grab that donut or to grab that cookie or that muffin. You need to have things ready, some nuts, some apples, whatever you think is that you enjoy, a quick snack needs to be available to you. I keep some nuts in the car, so I eat them on the way home. By the time I get home, I'm not hungry anymore. That's a good one. And we'll speak a little bit about anorexia, the very thin people, and bulimia a little bit. Anorexia, they're very thin. It's about psychology. It's about the image in the mirror. What the anorexic sees when that thin person looks in the mirror, they see an overweight person. It is not till you change the image in the mirror through psychological counseling that that person can be cured. Anorexia, most of the time, requires psychological counseling, and versus the bulimic, the one who does some binge eating, fills themselves up, eats a lot of food very quickly, usually in teenagers, and then because they have fear of becoming fat, they purge themselves and vomit it up about three, four times a day. If you do it about twice a day for 3 times a week, say, twice a day for 3 months, you're considered bulimic. Usually it's in teenagers, usually does not require counseling, but still it can be dangerous because some go on to becoming anorexic, and it is a serious problem, and it's usually it's usually girls. 90% of the time it's girls, and a lot of times they hide it. You don't know it. You're in a restaurant, the family eating, all of a sudden the teenage daughter excuses herself, goes to the restroom, and actually what she may be doing is purging herself, vomiting up the whole very nice dinner which she just ate. So you have to be aware of that in children. So about 1,000 years, our weights were a lot more stable. People actually lived longer on the average. They didn't because of diseases, injuries, wars, but actually their lifespans were longer than ours today. They had stronger muscles, stronger bones, because they were eating a Paleolithic diet of berries and nuts and lean animal meat. Meat wasn't very fatty then because you had to chase the animal, and it was mainly a muscle tissue and not fatty tissue as today. You eat a hamburger today, it's 60% fat. That's totally different. So the heaviest people are gaining weight at a higher rate. And the reason is because just like narcotics, remember we said food and narcotics affect the same dopamine circuitry at the bottom of the brain, the frontal lobe, the limbic system, the hypothalamus, the brainstem. It is a dopamine serotonin system is affected by food, and they become tolerant of the medication, and so it takes more to satisfy their hunger. Just like a narcotic, you have to increase it to get the same effect because of development of tolerance in the body. It's no different. It's the same circuitry as in cocaine or narcotic addiction or an alcohol addiction or cigarette addiction. It's all the same dopamine circuitry at the base of our brain. And now in this country, at least 2/3 are overweight. it's higher than that. It's approaching 70-80% rate among certain ethnic groups, higher yet because they have in them the thrifty gene, which based on evolution. They're the ones that survived years ago by ability to store food in their body, didn't eat again for a month because no food was available. They lived. So Africans, Japanese, Micronesians, South Americans were genetically selected to have this thrifty genes. We have in our body 100 genes that tell us to eat because we feel the scarcity that we're not going to be eat again. It's based on evolution. Because years ago, they didn't know there was food available. There were no fast food restaurants. We had no farming, so we couldn't rely on food being available. So when it was available, we ate the whole darn thing, got fat, didn't eat again for a month, and we lived. Those are the people that have the thrifty genes. So blacks in Africa, they're thin because they're eating more of a vegetarian diet. They come over here and eat the mad, sad, toxic American diet, and we have a very serious obesity problem in certain ethnic and racial groups. It's not a racial thing. It's just a genetic structure because the same people eating the right food don't have that. So one-third of children are obese, and it's getting higher. A lot of type 2 diabetes, which is based on weight, located in children now. And heart disease, I'd like to remind you, starts at age 4. Based on the Bigelosa study in New Orleans, they did autopsies in a child that died forever. What reason? They found we developed streaking arteriosclerosis at age 2 and 4. So what you eat even as a teenager is very important. A lot of teenagers use food for stress relief. Being a teenager is very stressful, and we have to watch our children. The mother is in charge 85% of the time, and what the mother buys for her child had to be very careful to feed your child fatty foods and take them to fast food restaurants and feed them French fries and some of these very fatty fast food meals, some with 2,000 calories in them, for example. I mean, it's child abuse. I hate to say it. When I see people at a fast food restaurant and they're giving their kids French fries, some have fructose corn syrup in them, have a lot of fat in them. A chicken McNuggets is made out of 38 ingredients. They have to add a spray to it to give it the flavor of chicken. So to eat chicken McNuggets, I don't think exactly a good idea because they're full of fat. And since the 1980s, especially, things have changed. There's been a dramatic spike in obesity, and many more overweight today because I think people are using food to relieve stress. The government, unfortunately, supports nasty food. They support the price of corn, oats, and that makes corn a lot cheaper, and then is used to feed beef. They're raised in a cage, they become very fat, and then we eat the darn steak in cows that are, frankly, most of them are sick when they kill them because they couldn't live longer eating that kind of food. And we add hormones, petroleum products, insecticides, and we eat the darn thing as a steak. It has a lot of fat in it, and that's what's killing America. That's why we are exploding. Plus, we have food stamps. Food is readily available everywhere. We use food stamps to buy nasty food. What they should do is have a requirement to buy good food with it. And that wouldn't be easy to do, but if it's killing your population, you think carefully before you use government money, which is Congress and the President, supplying the money to make corn cheap, which is killing us. It's perverse, no doubt about it. And by 2010, 2/3 of adults overweight. It's really higher than that. So why? Food is more readily available, larger portion sizes too, and poor food choices in restaurants. No one has recognized what is really happening. I mean, they write about it, but they're not really. I mean, it's to the point I think the president should have a national address on the subject, because what we see at the hospital, heart disease, diabetes, is rampant. We're getting bigger tables, bigger operating tables, and now we have larger portions Drinks are much bigger, for example, and people use these big drinks for their psychology. They don't feel good. They have a drink with a lot of sugar in it, and that accounts for 50% of obesity. Many more eating out in restaurants. Every gas station has a grocery store, and we gain weight because we eat bad food, more bad food than good food. Overweight people eat more bad food, and they underreport it to themselves. They think they're eating the same amount of food as another person, but when they really study this in detail, took pictures of them all day, it's really not true. But it's a type of food. Remember I said you eat nutrient-dense foods, that have the phytochemicals, the minerals and the vitamins in the nutrient-dense food. You won't gain that weight. For one thing, the nutrients turn your appetite off. In the phytochemicals, the nutrient-dense diet turn your appetite off, but versus fat, salt, and sugar, it does not turn your appetite off. Fructose corn syrup, for example, is metabolized in the liver. It doesn't increase your insulin level, doesn't turn the appetite off, and that's why you're able to eat the whole thing of donuts, because nothing's turning your appetite off. So fat, salt, and sugar versus low glycemic index foods. Remember the glycemic index, 0 to 100. White bread, would be about a 95 versus a bean would be about 30. So you want to eat 50% or less on the glycemic index. There's a website by that name. Physical activity, of course, is very important, but it doesn't always predict weight gain. I mean, you can be quite active physically, but if you've eaten the wrong food all day, in the end, it takes a lot of physical activity to drop a pound. A lot. It's what you eat is really more important. So where do the hormones, neurotransmitters come from, the dopamine, the serotonin? From the limbic system, the frontal lobe, the hypothalamus, the pituitary gland. In the hypothalamus, we control our sexuality, we control the temperature, the metabolism, the autonomic nervous system, the parasympathetic, sympathetic are located in the hypothalamus, but so is the CARP center, the cocaine amphetamine retention place, and that affects your appetite, for example, turns appetite off, and the NPY center turns appetite on, and so the hypothalamus is the Wizard of Oz, the brain's brain, the metabolic center of your brain, only the size of a silver dollar. Very important. So it's a self-regulating system that doesn't work very well if you overeat. It's affected by leptin and ghrelin, hormones secreted by the stomach, and fat, leptin from fat, ghrelin from the stomach. But the hypothalamus doesn't work as good if you're overeating all the time. You develop leptin resistance, and we have an energy and reward system, but unfortunately, it is not working very well when you're overeating. And so the reward system is essential for our survival. So we have 100 genes that wants to make us eat because they think there's no other food available and we're going to die if we don't eat. It's 100 genes doing that. So for you to resist that is tougher. But it's a lot easier if you eat nutrient-dense food. Why? Because you don't secrete all those chemicals that stimulate your appetite. And what hormones stimulate the appetite? The dynorphins. Dynorphin is a hormone secreted if I'm under a lot of stress, say from working all day and all night and working the next day. I lose total control of what I'm grabbing. That's dynorphin at work. That's what you see in obese people at work. It's a neurotransmitter, and it turns that on, and that causes uncontrollable overeating. I maybe get it one day a week, one day in a month. Some people have it every day. Like I got in a plane the other day, and the gentleman sitting across the aisle, clearly overweight, so was his wife. He took a bag of potato chips, tore it open with his teeth, ate it, every chip, probably within 2 or 3 minutes, then opened another one. Again, couldn't open it with his hands, ripped it apart with his teeth. That's dynorphin at work. This happened to all of us, but it happens every day, you get a problem. So there's a very powerful biological system that rewards us for eating, makes us momentarily feel better. This gentleman, the dopamine secretes, the serotonin secretes, and we're in heaven. It's a cave. We feel wonderful, but we're gaining a tremendous amount of weight. It really is sugar, fat, and salt is what it is, and these fast food restaurants learn how to mix this up and decorate it in many different concoctions. Their restaurants are all over the world fattening up the whole world. Korea has many American restaurants, and they're running an obesity rate higher than the United States. Dr. Joe Furman, my friend, told me that because he's over there teaching doctors how to teach people to eat the right food. We defeated the communists, but the communists are feeding South Korean with American food. This is a true story. And so we have a very powerful biological system that affects the dopamine system in our brain. I don't care if it's cigarettes, for example, food, narcotics, alcohol affects all the same system. But food, we don't have to drink every day, but we got to eat every day. So it's a very powerful psychological control of our eating. And stimulation from food chemicals, not hunger, is what drives us most of the time. And palatable foods that taste good, of course, increase the appetite. The aroma, to smell them or see them, the cue, can make a difference. So bad food is usually a combination of sugar, fat, and salt. The industry knows it. They know it. And they form different combinations of it. But I would like to remind you, though, if we went to a fast food restaurant and we ordered bananas and berries and apples, that's all they'd have if they could sell them. But that's not what we want. So we can't totally blame them. We have to blame ourselves here. So it's all about food chemicals, serotonin, dopamine, endorphins. The endorphins stimulate the appetite. Serotonin and dopamine turn the appetite off. But endorphins, dynorphin, we talked about these two secreted by hypothalamus, turn our appetite on. I'm in heaven. I just finished a great meal with a glass of wine. The dopamine and serotonin are doing that. And we start life with sugary foods. As a baby, we teach a baby, you got to teach a baby to enjoy this. And they're crying, we give them sugar. So it gets to be a habit pretty quickly. But it's sugar in combination with fat, really, that's really stimulates our appetite. And so sugar and high fat increase the palatability of food. And ice cream, for example, what's that? Sugar and fat, right? And the bliss point, we reach our bliss point. So, and then they add flavors to it, aromas, determine the palatability of food. Cheesecake Factory, chicken dishes with sugar, a home run halo effect. A home run halo effect. You know, many calories, I mean, 1,000 or more. We are avoiding the stimuli of the cue, looking at the food, and they're definitely designed that way. They have universities studying to make food more palatable, or visual cues that we might buy them. So 50% of food in restaurants, poor choices. So you go to a restaurant, and you have to be very careful. You look over the menu, and you can talk to waiters. You can talk to waiters. I haven't met one that isn't accommodating, and you just got to work at it. And before you know it, you got whole grain bread, and you got vegetables, and you have to work at it. But it's tough in places. I mean, I stopped recently at a restaurant in Lake Wabasee and looked at the menu. It was late at night on the Sunday night, and there was nothing I could eat. So I ordered the salmon. Guess what? Tasted like corn. Why would it taste like corn? The salmon was raised in a farm pond. It didn't come from Alaska. And this little bar restaurant, of course, wouldn't expect to get it there. So I swear it tasted like corn. And say to me, sure, where the salmon comes from. Deep fried tortilla chips, for example, that's concentrated fat in the chip. If you were to read how they make tortilla chips, for example, or potato chips, I mean, it's molasses and they fried and it's more sugar and they do it again. And then it's a fat tray. What do you put on it? More fat. You can see how destructive that really is. So they concentrate on fat, salt, and sugar. It's a hedonistic value, a constant supply of new foods, constantly reinventing things. And they hit all 3 points of the compass, fat, salt, and sugar. Potato skins, the skin is fried. It's a fat pick-me-up. Bacon bits, sour cream, cheese, fat on fat for salt. It's a UFO. Okay. Spinach dip, right, it's a health food, right? Let me tell you. It's high fat, high salt, high dairy products. The spinach is irrelevant. It's irrelevant. The food industry is a manipulator of consumers' wishes and desires. It's what sells. But can you really blame them? I think if we were to order good food, they wouldn't have it. So let's not totally blame them. And cheese fries, fat food with more fat on it, buffalo wings, fatty parts of chicken, deep fried with fat and salt with creamy sweet dipping sauce. It fits our psychology because of dopamine and serotonin. We talked about norepinephrine. We feel good. We're in heaven. We're in the womb. Our stresses of the day are gone. But we have to be careful because we can really gain weight on this. We do this every day. Chicken tenders, fat, salt, and sugar, again, a UFO. When you're losing, you're losing weight, it's a lot easier. It's a lot easier to keep at a new set point when you lose weight. Losing weight is a heck of a lot easier than trying to keep, because you rapidly get back to your settling point, and your body doesn't want to give it up. It doesn't want to give it up. Like myself, I got to 147, and I don't know why, but I'd like to lose another couple more. No good reason for it, frankly, because I don't need to. But that's a settling point in me, and you'll bounce back to your settling point. You have to be very careful. If you got a wedding to go to, cut out the carbs and eat meat products, you'll lose 10 pounds in a week. Why is that? Because you'll be using, because you're not eating carbohydrates, the glycogen in your muscles, you get 3 pounds of that. Each pound of glycogen has 3 pounds of water with it. So when you use up the glycogen from your muscles for energy, the water leaves with it. You lost 10 pounds, but you'll gain it back next week like that. I lose 10 pounds in a tennis match, say playing 5 hours. 2 days, I gain everything back except maybe half a pound. That's water loss. That's the Atkins diet. I've heard Dr. Furman and Dr. Bernard say it's a fraud. I see it being brought out again, a book called Wheat Belly. I think it's the Atkins diet all over again. And you have to be careful about that unhealthy way of eating. Motivation and ability to determine what our weight is. That's why diets fail. That's the reason I suggest a nutrient-dense diet. It's a way of eating. You're not dieting. I don't eat all you want. The phytochemicals will turn your appetite off. It's in Furman's book. He's correct. I've tried it myself. I lost 15 pounds in 15 days, almost a pound a day. That's in his book. It's not believable because the number of calories involved, but it's true. And but you'll reach a settling point. Then I reached my settling point, and I could no longer lose any more. And we are powerless in front of certain foods, no doubt about it. Christmas time in a queue, my wife's got all these good cookies there and pastry, and to get past that is tough, even for myself, who generally has good habits. And so you have to be careful. The aroma affects you, the queue, seeing it. So, like in the doctor's lounge at Lutheran Hospital, where a third of the food is really what me and the dietitian designed. I mean, nobody knows it. It's a secret. You wouldn't eat it if I recommended it. I'm a neurosurgeon. But it's so healthy. It's just great looking. We get beets and melons and nuts, and you can have a pile of food. I never gain weight. And I don't look at the desserts. They have desserts there, delicious desserts. I don't look at them. Because the years past, I ate them. That'd be very easy for me to get involved with that. So, in summary, there's a lot of psychology to eating, and what I'm saying is food is more addictive than narcotics. And the reason being is you got to eat every day, and food and narcotics use the same dopamine, serotonin circuitry in the frontal lobe, the limbic system, the hypothalamus, the pituitary, and the brainstem. The neurotransmitters are the same. I don't care, it's alcohol, it's cigarettes, it's food, or narcotics. It's the same circuitry. And so you have to pay attention to your psychology. You don't become a stress eater, that you have something friendly available for you to eat as a snack or a stressful situation. I carry nuts in my pocket here, matter of fact. If I go to a restaurant and they have a salad and they don't want to put nuts on it because they're expensive, I put them on there. I spray them on there myself, and I don't use salt, so I don't. Blood pressure shoots up, and you can carry salt substitutes. So, and speak to the waiter. If you go in there and they don't have the healthy food you want in this restaurant, speak to the waiter. Usually they'll help you. And it's more of a problem in the fast food restaurants, but they're slowly changing. If you demand change, they will change. A lot of them have some healthy options available today. So you have to consider other ways to raise your dopamine level. It can be laughter. It can be a good walk for 10 minutes before you eat dinner. It can be music to raise your mood. It's about dopamine and serotonin, a very important thing to remember. Most people who are very seriously overweight clearly have a dopamine problem, and they must learn how to deal with that through laughter and music and exercise, for example, is very helpful. Thank you very much for listening to me. We have books available on Amazon Books, tapes available, and we'll see you again. I hope you attend maybe Dr. Gary Veerula's and I's cooking class. We give it at his office once a month. It's on our website. It's free. We teach you how to cook for your children. The children loved these lectures. Teach your children how to cook and select good food. 82% of the time, it's the mother who buys the food. It's extremely important. Namaste. We love you all, and we'll see you in the next show.